So we've got 4 accounts. We've got the account written by Matthew. We've got the account written by Mark. Got the account written by Luke and the account written by John. And each one of them say and include different stuff. Now, when you read Luke's account, when he tells the story of Jesus calling the first disciples, one of the things that we learn there is he actually went out fishing with them before he invited them to become his followers. He invited them before. In John's account, you go read John's account, Jesus' first miracle. He turns water into wine. Pretty cool miracle. And you know what you look at in that story is it looked like it probably happened about a year before Jesus even started his ministry. And guess where it happened? In Galilee, the place where he called the first disciples. So they were probably there at that wedding party seeing Jesus do that first miracle. In John's account, you know, when you read it, you're seeing that this just isn't out of the blue. They knew who Jesus was. They'd heard him teach, and they'd seen him do things for a while, probably a year. They had probably like a year to consider who Jesus was and what he was about. On top of it, they would have seen it as this high honor to be invited to be one of his disciples. In John's account, they call him rabbi. Rabbi is a kind of a fancy word for a respected religious teacher. So going from fisherman to rabbi is like a huge upgrade. It kind of be like if you like worked at McDonald's and then the like top executive of Apple or CEO comes along and is like, hey, you want to work for me? It's a big upgrade in job status. I think there's a principle here that we can pick up in understanding that Jesus, he spent time with these disciples before he invited them to really become his followers. Calling the called, it takes time and it takes relationship. We shouldn't expect then just to meet somebody for the first time and just like blurt out the word Jesus and expect them to be like, oh, sweet, I'll become a Christian. It's just not going to happen like that. That's not how it works, especially in our day and age. They've got a lot of baggage and they got a lot of questions when it comes to Jesus and Christianity and church and what's it all about, and that's okay. It's okay for people to have questions and concerns and to learn about Jesus before they commit to following him. What we see here is that Jesus, he gets to know people first and spend time with them first. I want to read part of the story from the Gospel of Luke and how it happens there. So this is from Luke chapter 5. It says, on one occasion, while the crowd was pressing in on him to hear the word of God, he was standing by the lake of Gennesaret, and he saw 2 boats by the lake, but the fishermen had gone out of them and were washing their nets. Getting into one of the boats, which was Simon's, Jesus asked him to put out a little from land, and he sat down and he taught the people from the boat. And when he had finished speaking, he said to Simon, put out into the deep and let down your nets for a catch. And Simon answered, Master, we've toiled all night and took nothing, but at your word I will let down the nets. And when they had done this, they enclosed a large number of fish, and their nets were breaking. They signaled to their partners in the other boat to come help them, and they came and they filled both boats so that they began to sink. But when Simon Peter saw it, he fell down at Jesus' knees, saying, depart from me, for I am a sinful man, O Lord. For he and all who were with him were astonished at the catch of fish they had taken. And so also were James and John, sons of Zebedee, who were partners with Simon. And Jesus said to Simon, do not be afraid. From now on you will be catching men. And when they had brought their boats to land, they left everything and followed him. Okay, I wanted to read this story so we could notice a couple things. First, Jesus is already teaching. He's already teaching people. And then he already knows who Simon is. He knows his name. That indicates previous relationship there. And then it was after they experienced Jesus' goodness to them and giving them this huge catch of fish that then they decide to follow him. Calling the called, it involves getting to know somebody's name first. It involves doing good to people, them getting a taste and experience of the goodness of Jesus. Jesus here, he takes part in their fishing. He goes fishing with them. You read through the 3 years of Jesus' time with the disciples, they end up going fishing a lot of times. So walking together, walking with others, it involves really getting to know people, getting to know their name, getting to know all that's made them who they are. It involves spending time, doing stuff, whether it's fishing or surfing or going to baseball games, going to the beach, or doing whatever, doing stuff together, doing life together. There's a book I'm going to refer to a lot in this series. So be a good idea to get it. It's called Friend of Sinners, An Approach to Evangelism, written by my friend Harvey Turner. I think it's probably the best book on mission I've ever read. I like it a lot. And I want to read to you a section from it. And you guys might remember Harvey. We had him preach here, I don't know, about a year and a half ago. Probably have him come down again here soon. But here's what he says. People are more than projects. They are persons to be in relationship with. Be interested in people. Get to know them, their aspirations, dreams, disappointments, and questions. I do this by asking lots of questions about who they are and what's going on in their life. Most people love to talk about themselves and their interests. What I've found is that people really want to be heard and understood. Staying interested is the best way to know how to get to Jesus in conversation with the person. You'll get a sense for who they are, what they feel, and what they need. And when the opportunity comes, sharing the news of Jesus will come naturally. You don't need to force it. Sometimes you will get in a few words pointing to Jesus. Other times it will lead to hours of deep spiritual conversation. In order to call the called, we got to get to know people.